Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 10. Elden Ring is real, and we are here with the sons of Jim Ryan joining me. I have Gurnico,
What's up?
Mathodical,
Hello?
Megamatt,
Elden Ring.
and the Boki.
Hey guys.
So, you guys are all a bunch of really, I'm the only person here in this recording at the time who's not a From Software junkie. Is that correct?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. You could be, though.
You will be
Yeah,
after this episode.
Yeah.
I will be, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later. So let's talk a little bit about Gurney. I'll start with you. What do you want from Elden Ring? So having played pretty much all, I think you've played all of FromSoft games. What is a thing of that formula that you really want carried over into Elden Ring?
Man, it's a tough question because even like after playing those games, I still don't feel like I know that much about them. I always feel like the person in the room who doesn't know shit about that game. Like everybody always seems smarter when they talk about that game, but for me, what do I want? I just want that game to beat my ass, and I just want to love it. I just want to love it while it's doing it. It's a FromSoft game, you know. It's just give it to me. Yeah.
Okay, so all right,
I'll start real basic here because I don't want to steal anybody's answers. We got a lot of people here.
Okay, so dominatrix style, no problem.
Yeah.
So now I did. There was some clamor on Twitter where some people, well, winter people, not upset on Twitter. Let's be honest, where some people were saying that they had read that Miyazaki stated that the game might be easier. So, Methodical, what are your thoughts on what we could see that might be different from the traditional, like really kind of brutal, challenging grind?
I think it will have to be a little bit just because they're going with a different format this time from the sounds of it. Like it's not going to be as linear. So when your game's linear, how you want it to be, and it can flow a certain way. Whereas when it's player choice, you might have people going to an area that another player might not go to right away, right? So there may have to be some compromises on difficulty, but I think in true FromSoft fashion, it's still going to be really challenging, and it's not going to hold your hand. It's going to be. I don't know if I have an example of anything like it. I don't think we've seen anything like it, but I think the lack of linearity is really going to change the flow of the game this time.
And I had I read up very briefly on it. I don't really like I don't like to be prepared, but it did state, I did read where it was stated that it would be the more RPG heavy of all of the titles coming. So, Megamatt, what are your thoughts on that, and what kind of impact we could see there?
Well, I would say that, I mean, the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne are pretty RPG heavy to begin with, where you're going through your stats and you're making your character the way you want it to be. I'd say most people who are coming into this game and have played the older games would be right at home with it anyway. I wouldn't say that necessarily changes it. I think this one will have maybe more options than we've seen before because it seems like they're going for a bigger, more grand map and world there. So you're going to be exploring a lot. So you're going to want to make sure that you're not getting bored with the character that you're going all these hours with, right? You're going to want to make sure you're still leveling up and trying new things and finding new gear and stuff. If it was just something like Sekiro where you're just basically the same character with the same weapon from the start to the end, a game like that with that many hours, you'd probably be getting bored with what you were doing about halfway through, something like that.
Got it. Makes sense. From what I understand, the world is going to have 6 main areas, and each of them has a demigod boss. Is what I thought. Boki, that sounds like a Boki topic, because you some crazy demigod boss. Like, I mean, you're the
Yeah.
Returnal Slayer. So what are your thoughts on that?
I just want to chime in on this difficulty discussion first, because the thing is, from the interview, Miyazaki said that it will be easier in a way, and like Kotaku and whoever writes these articles often skip like the nuance. I think the reason it will be easier is because you have so many different approaches. I mean, you can already make these games easier for you. Like the easy mode in Dark Souls, for instance, is like picking up a bow and arrow and shooting stuff from the distance and like cheesing stuff. And you can do very many different things, like a spellcaster. That's also easier. Like you can cheese the game in a way. I think that because the sandbox will be bigger and you will be able to do more stuff, like you will be able to sneak and do stealth and like change up your approach, like stalk enemies, find the right strategy. These stuff will make it so that like the smart player can make the game easier for them. I think so. Like if you outsmart the game, that's wow. You're amazing. You did it. That's great. You solved the puzzle. And there are people like me that will just run straight in and like be fucking stupid and just run straight in and try to survive. And for us, it will be very hard. So I think it's amazing. I love that they are doing this. They are making the games more accessible in a way, I think. And I want more people to play them. I want like the sandbox makes the game like you chose which difficulty you want.
Boki's the fucking Rambo of these.
Yeah, I'm the Rambo.
Like following Boki on Twitter while we were all playing Returnal, like Boki just runs in and he's like, listen, I just run in as fast as I can.
Yeah. The clips and shares are fantastic. Let's talk about that then, because I want to hear what Mathodical and what Megamatt have to say in regards to the difficulty. So if that's cool with everybody, let's kind of focus on that portion of it. Mathodical, do you want to go first on that?
Yeah, I used to be of the mindset that these games were too hard. I actually got Bloodborne when it came out, and I put it down for 4 years, or 5 years actually. I got so frustrated with it. I was like, I hate this game, even though I was enamored with it. I was like, I cannot play this game. This is not for me. I ended up selling it off, and I was so bitter. And then when it came out on PS Plus as a free game, I ended up downloading it again. And I think if you guys remember, I started kind of chronicling it on Twitter when I was playing through it again, and I finally beat it 2020. But I was under the impression that it was unfair, and the reason I was under that impression was because it wasn't like anything I'd ever played before. It's not necessarily that it's hard, it's that it's circumventing everything you know and everything you're comfortable with, and it's not holding your hand anymore. The game is fair. I learned that when I beat Bloodborne, because the second time I ran through it, and I was like, this game is not unfair, it's not hard, it's just not what I'm used to. And it was like parts of my brain that I had turned off because all these games were so easy. Here's your waypoint, here's what you need, this one makes this stat do this. Like, it was just so like a walkthrough almost with these games. And then you get to something like Bloodborne, where it's not hard, it respects you. It knows that you can do it, it knows you can figure it out, but it's just not going to hold your hand. And that's what makes it so thrilling when you do make progress, is you figured it out. The game didn't throw you a rope and say, okay, now, maybe do this. No, if you beat that boss, it's because you figured it out. And you look back on it and you go, I can't believe that part gave me trouble. We've talked about it, Megamatt as well, like Old Yarnum. When you get to Old Yarnum, it's the scariest thing. It's so hard. How am I going to kill all these enemies? Where am I going? What's happening? And then later on, you know it like the back of your hand. And it's like once you could get over that hurdle and you figure out the way the game works, you realize it's not hard. It's not what you've been playing from all these other publishers. So yeah, I think the difficulty discussion, I know we're all we get it all the time on Twitter, but I think if you look at it, it's not that they're just hard. They respect you as a gamer, and I think people really appreciate that.
I have to chime in. I'm somebody who hasn't played any of these games before, and a little bit of that has been intimidation because my real life and what I do professionally can be so stressful and challenging.
Yeah.
I want to get away from that in gaming, but what you just described, Mathodical, appeals to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not saying it's really brutal and it's going to kick your ass, right? Like Gurney wants like high heels to the nuts. But what you're saying is really that kind of typical thing that we're used to, like a HUD, a map marker, hints, things like that. Is it safe to say are typically removed from FromSoft games, which are the things that hold your hand?
They're there, but they just don't. They don't make it easy for you. Like if you actually read the descriptions of the items, they give you hints. They tell you what they do. They tell you what they're good for. But a lot of people don't read it. You know what I mean? Or they don't take the time to figure things out, and because they're expecting it just to be handed to them right off the bat. So there are hints and tips in the game.
Okay,
It's
so
not a game for the kids' move.
I was just going to say we should probably maybe just maybe tell Smoove and Grub to maybe reconsider if there is reading.
Maybe color coding in Elden Ring.
Well, no, there can be reading in Bloodborne because it's not a $70 game.
Oh yeah, that's
true.
That's true. I think Elden Ring is not a $70 game either. So.
Yeah, so there's going to be lots of reading, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, nobody has really. Gurney came close to getting me to say. Gurney and Julia got me close to saying, "Yeah, I'll try Bloodborne." Methodical's description of what he said, like it's not necessarily hard; it just doesn't hold your hand. Very much a selling point for me. So I think I'm actually more looking forward to Elden Ring and kind of popping that virginity because the expectations are more realistic, and that sounds like something that's challenging in the way you want to grow as a gamer, where it's not just punish me and beat me and hurt me, it's let me help you excel your skills. So Megamatt, why don't you kind of chime in on that and your thoughts on the difficulty points?
Just to touch on what Mathodical said about Old Yarnum, that is a huge part of those games. And it is intimidating for a lot of people because you will come into these new areas and you have no idea where you're supposed to go. You have to explore all these little like nooks and crannies and fight enemies that are probably too strong for you. You have to learn where you have to go. And that's usually what scares people away into thinking that the game is too hard. Because like the first time I got to Old Yarnum and the guy's shooting the machine gun at you. And you're just like, there's a machine gun here. What am I supposed to do? And everything tells you you're supposed to climb up there and fight him because, he must be the next boss or he must be the next big character that I'm supposed to fight. So I spent hours and hours getting fucking brutalized by this guy on the tower. But now when I play the game, I don't even worry about him. I just run straight through Old Yarn. These are things that you learn by playing the game. But as you know, I have taken a vow about never speaking about difficulty in FromSoft games again. And so this is a big exclusive for this podcast because this is probably the only time I'm going to speak about it ever again. But my experience with the games is I was just like Methodical, and I bought Bloodborne on day one without ever playing Dark Souls, without ever playing anything. I just bought it and I put it in. I started playing it, and it was hard. It was. I wouldn't say it was terrible. Like I did enjoy my time with it, but there comes a point. I think I did end up beating Papa G, and after that point, it had taken so much out of me just running my head into a wall over and over again, just fighting him and fighting him and fighting him and fighting him. And like talking to my one friend who was also playing the game, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you just get the music box. Just get the music box. Everything's fine when you get the music box." And it just it doesn't work when you have no idea what you're doing.
What? I've never heard that.
You don't know about the music box?
Yeah, I know, but strange advice.
Yeah,
I mean, but that sounds like a lot of games. I mean, the first time I play games, I don't always know where to go or what to look for.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's also hard because I haven't played it, so I don't fully understand
Yeah.
the context of what you guys are completely saying there. Would it
So-
help to maybe try to describe that a little bit, because we don't know how many viewers they might be like me, and this
Yeah.
might be their first
Okay.
FromSoft experience.
Yeah, so Papa G is the second big boss that you find in the game. And this is essentially where you are tested to the full extent of how you're supposed to play the rest of the game. So it's teaching you parrying, it's teaching you dodging, it's teaching you how to intercept like these quick attacks coming at you. So you're coming into this and yeah, you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm supposed to dodge these attacks, dodge that attack. But with Bloodborne, the gameplay is so different from other things where, yeah, you're supposed to dodge attacks, but when you get hit in Bloodborne, if you hit the enemy back right away, it refills your health a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
it's incentivizing you to counterattack immediately. Like, don't run away from these enemies that are coming at you. Even though everything in you is telling you, you have to back off, you have to run away, you have to dodge, you have to heal. So it's a mechanic that is probably new to a lot of people, especially if you're coming into a game like this where up until this point, you've probably been dodging everything and hiding from everything and running around everything and like, that sort of thing.
So can I assume that it's very almost myopic? It's very, very granular in the way the game expects you to accomplish each objective. Like there's a very specific formula and the game is teaching you that's the formula. So for people like me, we might be used to games that say, well, I could do this or I could do that or I could dodge or I could parry or I could sneak. But FromSoft games typically say, this is how we're going to teach you to fight and we're instinctively going to change you because this is how
you change as a gamer as you're playing it. You go into the fight having no idea what to do and you die so many times that there's one singular time you walk in and you know every move, every pattern, you can dodge everything and you can just essentially kill the boss without taking a hit because you've just died so many times.
It's when you finally become a fucking Jedi and it just all clicks.
Yeah, you walk in and you're just standing still waiting for the attack and you're dodging and you're like attacking back and you feel like the ultimate badass. Bloodborne does that so well once you come into your own and learn the game.
I think with Bloodborne, the turning point for me was when I realized after you kill a boss, what does it say on the screen? It says prey slaughtered.
Yeah.
They're the prey, not you. But you're conditioned in the early part of the game because you're outnumbered, because you're overwhelmed, that you're being hunted by these things.
Yeah.
No, you're hunting them. They are
baby.
they have weaknesses. They are vulnerable, and it's like that is such a 180 on what your expectations are going in. And then once you get that mindset of I'm the hunter. What are you called in the game? You're called the hunter and the prey. It's a total 180 of what you think going in. Because you see this giant beast and you're like, oh, this thing is bigger than me. It's stronger than me. It's faster than me. No, you are better than this thing. You just don't know it yet. And that was such a cool feeling when you finally that clicks and you walk into that boss fight and you're just so confident, you know, you're going to take it down. So that was something that really took me a few times to click. And yeah, they are the prey. That's exactly what it says on the screen. But my mind had convinced me otherwise.
That's really fucking cool. So would you say that playing these games does make you a better gamer because it forces you to be more strategic and more deliberate in what decisions you make?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I definitely think that.
I think it also teaches you to just be more confident in your own skills as a gamer and to not be so worried about what's coming at you in the games you're playing. Like, once you've beaten Bloodborne, there should be no game that you're afraid of taking on, honestly.
Yeah.
I think too, it's people talk a lot about the challenge in these games, the difficulty, but I think the objective that you're trying to get to, it's the bosses literally are the objective. So you'll get to a boss, the boss will beat your ass, and I would say most of it is head games. It's an intimidation factor. Like the size of the boss, if the thing was actually throwing everything at you that it was capable of, you would never stand a chance against a boss like that. But it has a very specific move set that you're trying to learn here. And there are things in the world, specific tools, specific items, specific buffs, that if you explore the environment and you try on different equipment, you try out different buffs, you equip different items, walking into that boss arena is different every time. And it's like the boss is the game, in my opinion. Like everything surrounding the boss is like this training ground, but then you walk into that arena, man, and it's a different ball game. Like Sekiro, honestly, Sekiro is really easy for me in between the bosses, you know, and it's so fun. It's so fun. And but when you get to the bosses, it beats your ass over and over until you learn. And it wants you to learn. Each boss is literally a gatekeeper saying you're not ready for the next area. And until you learn what that boss is doing, like Papa G, like learning how to use your blunderbuss, your gun, your gun literally stuns these enemies, right? So like if they throw an attack and you hit them right at the perfect moment, it stuns them, and then you can walk up to them and just shove your fist right in their mouth and, you know, rip out their...
Such a weird thing.
Oh my God. But, you know, but when the mechanics click, the games become easier. But I believe the difficulty is the games don't teach you how to play. But there is an easy mode, and the easy mode is called the internet.
Yeah.
Wikipedia.
It really is, truly. If you want an easy mode to those games, just look up everything, and you will
ask me.
You'll destroy the game.
Ask your Twitter.
And that's the thing with most modern games. They put all of that stuff in the game. They tell you where to go. They tell you what tips to use. Literally in loading screens on most games, there's tip bars in between telling you how to get good at the game. All of that stuff exists in Bloodborne. It's just outside of the game. It is literally the epitome of a game, I feel like, in high school that you would need a walkthrough for, like a guide for, because it doesn't tell you how the mechanics work. The first time I played Bloodborne, I beat the game without understanding how skills and level scaling worked in that game.
I still don't get it.
Dude,
that sounds like a lot of Nintendo games. If I'm being honest, that sounds like old school. Does that not sound kind of like
it is? It is old school in its design. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of people think, hey, if I throw all my skills into strength, I'm just going to be able to knock everything out. But if you're using a weapon that levels with dexterity, your strength leveling ain't going to do much damage increase. But if you have a specific weapon that when it's designed, it's a strength weapon, if you put all your stats in strength, of course, you're going to beat the shit out of some stuff and the game becomes easier. So I think truly the true challenge of these the FromSoft games lies within decoding the mechanics and just understanding how it works. And honestly, how it works and figuring that out is what I find fun about the games.
So
I have an interesting an analogy to that. The reason I never really this stuff wasn't like it was natural to me, but that's because I grew up with fighting games. These games don't tell you shit. I mean, they don't tell you anything. Like everything about the game is about figuring stuff out on your own. Like frame data, that's crazy. It's like frames. You have to count frames to understand stuff.
I will never be able to do that.
Yeah, like if you want to punish this move, someone does some stupid move on you all the time, and you die and you die and you die, and you get so irritated by it, and you don't understand why. Why can't I hit this guy after he does this? If I block this, why can't I do anything? You have to understand like the frame data and the like the mathematics behind this stuff to really
the pattern, right? Like the pattern. So you're saying almost
patterns,
like
yes.
counting cards. You're anticipating the pattern.
Exactly. So the reason for me, I started playing these games back when Dark Souls 1 released. My brother started like with Demon Souls, and he was nagging me about playing it. And I didn't play it. I regret that. He played it and he loved it. But then I bought the PS3 for Dark Souls because I remember that my brother said this game was amazing. So I want to start gaming again. And I went in to the store and I bought a PS3 and Dark Souls when it released. And the game made sense to me because it felt like Zelda, but for adults. It was very dark. Yeah, it was depressing. It was like I was kind of depressed when I played it, but the vibe was like it resonated with me. So I started playing it, and as because I felt like shit, you know, I was kind of young in my 20s. I was going through shit. My mental health wasn't the best, and I played this game, and it just made sense to me because it taught me how to be confident again. It was so hard to progress. But when you did it, it felt like a great achievement. Like you really like every achievement in those games. Like they like touched your spine or something. You grew every time you did it. So for me, that was like one of the most important moments in my life, playing Dark Souls 1 and figuring it out and beating that game. And like the themes of there's so much themes about sunlight. And as you progress, you get to sunnier and sunnier places. Like the progress you make the game less depressing. And so as I played it, I felt stronger as a person.
It makes real life easier.
It kind of does.
It's true.
Yeah.
Until you become a parent, and then Souls games finally.
Then it crushes. Yeah.
I was actually going to say, not trying to make a joke. You guys are actually really selling it, by the way, from somebody who's been very on the fence.
So
I hope people that watch this and listen to this that have been on the fence really hear this messaging. That sounds like the most true to life games that have ever existed, because real life is very much a grind. It's stressful. It's about learning and progressing and getting really good at your craft and having setbacks. And sometimes we Rambo shit and sometimes we stealth shit. So is that kind of a fair assessment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's kind of like real life, because real life doesn't give you answers and doesn't hold your hand. And by playing these games, often it's like games are a way to escape real life. But for me, Dark Souls was a way to teach me how to enjoy life and like be a better person, do the stuff that I wanted to do, and have like be brave enough to do them. So it was very important to me, actually. All these games were.
That's incredible. I mean, you beat video. I mean, I was 7 and beat Ninja Gaiden, and I'm like, yeah, I'm the shit. I beat Ninja Gaiden.
You beat Ninja Gaiden?
No.
I mean, that's so
Yeah, that's
short.
crazy.
Yeah. I didn't beat
Crystal.
Battletoads, but I did beat Ninja.
No one beat that.
No, I
No
know.
one beat that.
Except Phil Spencer.
I was more patient when I was little. I was much more patient when I was younger, and I liked harder stuff. And then I got older, and I said, "Oh my God, real life sucks. I don't like really hard stuff." As an adult, I've never beaten a game that made me say, "I can." Like Mathodical, know what I'm talking about. No game has ever made me feel like Khabib Nurmagomedov and made me want to go wrestle a bear. And you know what? I kind of think maybe I want that feeling. So would you guys maybe want to share your experience on what it felt like for you? Like talk about what it felt like for you to beat some of these games, or what was really memorable for you when you did beat them?
Yeah. Well, my first foray into the Souls games was Demon Souls. And at that time in my life, I was still living at home with my parents, and I was smoking a massive lot of pot at the time, which I actually don't smoke pot well, sometimes I do, but anyway. So I walked into the game store, and I'm talking to the guy, and I'm asking for recommendations, and he tells me about this new game that I've never heard of. That it's the hardest game he's ever played, is what he said. And but he said it's fair, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, it's the hardest game you ever played, but it's fair. And I just had to try it for myself. So when I booted it up, I remember the first time I fought, I think it was Tower Knight in the first Demon Souls, and dear God, I mean, I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to beat this thing ever. And as I said, I was high, so I wasn't smart enough at the time, for some odd reason, to check the internet on how to get through it. So I literally just kept throwing myself at the game over and over. I think I rage quit a couple of times. I slept on it, but then I came back the next day and I beat him in my first try. And it was just like this. I had gotten better. The game didn't get easier. I literally got better. And then that's when I knew that I was not going to give up on that game until I beat it, because of the anguish and the suffering that I felt. And I just wanted to throw my controller, but then I took a rest. I came back and I learned. Like when you go to sleep, you literally process. You really don't get knowledge sometimes until you sleep on it, and your body has this. It's weird how your brain does that, but truly. And then and anyways, I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then I started to look up some stuff on how to cheese some of these bosses because I was getting pissed. And so I did cheese my way through Demon Souls, unfortunately, my first way through it, but it still felt good to beat that game. And it wasn't until Bloodborne, because I had skipped Dark Souls altogether. I was like, this game's too hard. I'm not even going to give this game a shot. I don't want anything like this. And then it was Bloodborne that I really threw myself at, and beating that final boss in Bloodborne, the final boss. I mean, literally, it made life easier. Like, life, after I beat that boss, everything was easier. Going to work, I felt like there was some giddy up in it's like I had just gotten laid, you know? But yeah, it's an amazing feeling. And it's possible. Everybody who is a gamer and has the skills to pick up any game, if you commit yourself to it, it is one of these things. It's like, someone said, how do you eat a whale? You eat it one bite at a time. And it's like, your goal is not to beat the game in one sitting. You're not going to sit there and just slay this game. It's this baby steps mentality. Like, if you are making any progress at all, you're winning. Like, if you're taking steps forward, you're winning. You know, and it's just, you just got to keep pushing, and there's nothing quite like it for me.
That sounds so much like real life. I mean, well, I'm a fan of.
I suck at real life, though.
Well, bite-sized pieces. Everything in life can be broken down into bite-sized pieces, right? Knowledge and so, I mean, Methodical, right? You're in college, right? Getting ready to graduate. Bite-sized pieces. Right?
Congratulations, by the way, man.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yo,
Thank you.
To
congratulations.
compartmentalize stuff in small pieces. Damn, you guys are selling it. I might want to play every one of these before Elden Ring. So why don't you guys keep that going and talk about like a really memorable feeling you got from beating one of these?
When I finished Bloodborne, and Bloodborne's the only one I finished. Full disclosure on that, because like I said, I dropped them for years. I just avoided the genre completely until that. It felt amazing. I remember coming on Twitter and saying like I beat it, and people were just all over it. Like,
Yeah, like
man,
hundreds of likes.
hundreds,
Just for beating
yeah,
It was amazing.
and
What a
yeah,
moment.
like it was so cool. And that's one of the things about these games is when we talk about the difficulty, the suffering that you endure on the way to finishing these games, it's like shared suffering. Everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. So that support you wouldn't get if I came out and I said, "Hey guys, I beat Far Cry 5." You're all going to be like, "Cool." So I love Far Cry 5. It's one of my favorite games. And people are going to be like, "So everyone fucking beat Far Cry 5. What are you talking about?" Because there's no shared suffering, there's no commiserating, there's no struggle that everyone understands. It's just, of course, you beat it. It's a game, everyone can beat it. But when you beat a FromSoft game, everyone who's watching you is like they died in that part too. They struggled with that boss too, and that support that you get from people, that's that extra kick where you're like, yeah, I'm going to pick up the controller again and try this again. And I liked what you guys were saying about real life, because when you realize it's just a game and there are rules and there are ways to beat this, that giant boss becomes just a set of numbers, and it's a set of numbers that you can figure out. And life is the exact same way. When I started school, okay, I'm starting school, I got a kid, I need to find a new job, I got all this stuff going on. It's so daunting, it's so overwhelming until you break it down into one, as Gurn said, one piece at a time. Okay, how can I tackle this one part? Then you realize that everything is solvable. There are solutions to these problems. And it's something I carried into my real life, where I said, okay, if I have to go to this job interview, it seems so overwhelming. I'm so stressed out about it, but they're just people. They're just questions. I can answer these questions. I can connect with these people. I can do this job. And that confidence, it's hard to not let it bleed over into your life, into your real life. And that's, I think, why these games resonate so well with people, is it is like real life in a way.
That's phenomenal. Megamatt, go ahead. Why don't you talk about?
Like I said, I started into these games pretty late. I tried Bloodborne when it came out. Got a little ways in, dropped. Sold it just like Mathodical. Just like, I'm never going to finish this, whatever. And then sort of went through my time seeing Dark Souls come out, seeing people playing it and saying how great it is. And I'm just like, nah, that's not for me. I don't want to play that. I tried Bloodborne, wasn't for me. And then last year, or maybe it was the year before, I was off work and had nothing really to do. And I decided I was just going to try Sekiro. I was going to try to get as far as I could. I wasn't doing anything else. And jumped into that game, started making progress, and was like, you know what? I'm just going to challenge myself to beat this game. This is going to be the FromSoft game that does it for me. And kept trying. Like, I'd wake up in the morning, first thing I do, have coffee, play Sekiro, die a whole bunch of times to whatever boss that I was stuck on. And there were a lot of times where I was just like, fuck this. I'm just giving up. This I don't think this is for me. And I would just put it aside. I'd start playing something else. But then as I was playing the other games, there was that like little voice in the back of my head that was calling me to come back to that game, because how it felt in the moment-to-moment gameplay in that game was drastically, I don't know, better than these other games that I was playing. It felt good when you were winning, and so I would go back to it and I'd make a little bit more progress. I think I probably dropped that game 2 or 3 times before I ended up making it to the end, and yeah, and spent probably 2 weeks fighting that final boss, like going on Twitter every day, like talking about how I was stuck, people giving me all this advice, like, oh, it's fine, you'll get it, just keep trying. I'm just like, I don't think I'm ever gonna beat this. And then one morning I woke up and I was just like, this is the day I beat Sekiro. And I came out, I turned it on, a couple tries, and I did it. And it was the best feeling that I've ever had playing a video game. And then after that, I didn't jump right into Bloodborne after that. It was mostly just people on Twitter telling me that I had to try Bloodborne after that. And I was just like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna like Bloodborne better than Sekiro. Sekiro was like the best game I've ever played, just because it was the first one that I had finally conquered, right? So then I jumped into Bloodborne, and ever since then, that's basically been the type of game that I gravitate towards.
This town's finished.
Yeah. Bloodborne takes over your personality when you're playing it. You just become the Bloodborne guy. It's all you can talk about. It's all you can talk about. Just like Gurney right now.
This is an official Bloodborne podcast now.
No, we haven't even talked about Elden Ring.
Yeah, we talk about whatever we want to talk about. Boki, what is your most memorable experience from beating a FromSoft game?
The thing is, I've beaten so many of these games so many times that I don't really remember my feeling. to be honest, I don't remember the feeling of like how I felt when I beat this game. I remember like a sadness.
He's our leader.
You know, when a game ends, you're very sad. I remember when I beat Ocarina of Time. That was my first Souls experience, by the way, because that game is like the prototype of Dark Souls and the prototype of From Software games. I was very sad. I was depressed for days because it ended. But the thing with From Software games is that there is experiences that not everyone has, and that's because these games are also multiplayer, and most people are single player gamers. Like most people won't explore some parts of the game. So I want to share what was my greatest experience, and it was actually a multiplayer experience. You know, when you kill someone in Dark Souls 3, this is why I love Dark Souls 3. When you kill someone in that game, you get a pale tongue. You get their tongue, you know. The thing is, okay, we rewind a bit. You can invade other players. So you can be the really evil guy and invade other people's worlds and ruin their progress and fuck up their life so they don't get their souls. And you kind of want to kill them at the place where it's hard to get back to the souls. You know, it's hard to get those souls. If you kill them at the start of a level, whatever, they can get them. It's no big deal. But if you kill them at the end...
You're such a troll, man.
If you kill them at the end of the level, that's like a lot of souls. And
is he serious right now? Like you can get
feeding off of it, baby.
Yeah. So you get the souls. When you kill this guy, you get their souls. I got 500,000 souls like 3 months ago. I was just like, let's see if people are still playing, and I invaded, and I got 500,000 souls. That's a lot of souls to lose. I don't know how that guy even had those.
Your favorite moment in Dark Souls was ruining someone else's progress.
Yeah, I haven't even come to why, because the thing is, when you've beaten this game so many times, the real challenge, and I will tell you this, guys, if Elden Ring has this opportunity for you, you need to do this, because the real challenge is Miyazaki has invasions in Dark Souls 3 everything is against you. I mean, most likely you will invade a world where there's already 3 people because they've had to use a dried finger to summon that last person. So there's already like, and they have all of these have like regular amount of Estus flasks and whatever. They have so many resources to kill you, and not only this, you know what they can do? The cops can come after you. So you have these blue guys. It's a covenant. It's a faction. You can join them to help people against invaders, and that's amazing. People want to help these people so they don't lose their souls against people like me. So yeah, I had maxed out. I'm so evil. I had maxed out Pale Tongues on 12 characters. That's over 600 Pale Tongues per character.
Wait a minute. Time out. Boki is the guy who struggles to make mean decisions in typical RPG games. Like if it's just him single player, like being mean to an NPC to gain a Boki will not do it. He complains all the time. I can't be mean to that character to get this reward. But you can be a soul stealing like Shang Tsung.
Bro, he sounds like they don't call him Goat for nothing, man.
The reason I do this is because these people are summoning 3 others to beat the game. Well, fuck those people.
I think I understand it now.
I was going to play multiplayer with you guys.
Yeah, it's cool, but then you will meet people like me. Get you to experience the real Dark Souls.
This is where the real Dark Souls start.
I will come in.
It's going to have invasions. It did say there were going to be invasions. So
there is going to be one. It's
in Elden Ring?
Yeah, it ties in with this. It's already confirmed. So we will have guys like me in Elden Ring.
Okay, so basically what Boki's saying is Gurney and Mathodical and Megamatt will be nice enough to say, we'll play with you because it's your FromSoft experience. Yeah. And then Boki will come sliding in and just steal our souls.
You know how you beat Boki? You unplug the internet.
Actually, that people do that. It's fucked up, but people do that. Yeah.
I'm going to need your girlfriend's email address. I'm going to need her contact information.
Absolutely. But anyway, my favorite moment was actually, and this is so sad because I used to do streams of Dark Souls. And I recorded my best invasion. And it was at the Grand Cathedral. People will know this if they play the game. And this is the whole Grand Cathedral is the greatest trolling moment of Miyazaki. It's like it's a strange library. It has so many strange nooks and crannies, and it's very hard to get past that place. And when you do, there is like this big set of stairs up to, not stairs, but you get up to like one of the last bosses in the game, and there's so many enemies there that it's very hard. It's like a war. And I started my invasion at the beginning of the Grand Cathedral, and all the way up to the end, like the boss door, I was fighting these guys. There were 3 people, and these the cops, like I can call them, they are blue, like chasing me, hunting me, and I was playing Metal Gear Solid, hiding, doing all kinds of shady stuff, throwing stuff at them, running away, hiding in a new place, like jumping down from like a high ground, fucking some people up, they're summoning again. It was a long fucking fight all the way to this big, like, epic climax, and I was like throwing bombs at them and I had 0 Estus flags, like 1 HP left, and they were so close to the boss, and I fucking killed those guys. And I recorded it and uploaded it on YouTube. And for some reason, I deleted all my YouTube content.
Oh.
So I'm so sad because that lost his time, and that was one of my favorite moments in Dark Souls.
I can
I
see
just
that.
want to point out all the new players like me who are excited to play multiplayer with their experienced friends so they can do this are now terrified to play it and don't want to play it because we
You're
won't.
welcome.
Megamatt has to make a meme about this situation, like new players just trying to play
Boki
along
coming
in
in.
Elden Ring, and here comes
I'll do it
Boki
right now.
just raining on their parade, man.
It's like you're giving me. I mean, that's what Fallout 76. And I was like, okay, no thanks. All these assholes are coming and screwing me up, and I can't. Like, no thanks. I'll just play the single player. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But the thing is, those experiences, I actually got messages afterwards from people that thanked me for them, because that's such an unique experience. You're having a war against one person and they're like this solid snake. And it's, people were thanking me for killing them. So it was like, I thank you so much. I had this amazing experience. I didn't think it was possible in games. And it's actually a big part of the fun when you get an invader. That's like, it's terrifying, but it's also like, whoa, this is a bit exciting.
It is. It really is.
That
It
will
really
not be my
is.
experience. I don't think so at all. I'm not sure that would be my reaction.
Maybe if you have us with you, because one
Maybe.
of the greatest stuff is actually killing invaders as well. That's very satisfying.
It could be because I haven't experienced it, right? Like I remember my first time playing the Division. I'm like, oh, the Dark Zone. I'm like, hey guys, you guys want to be friends? Wow! I'm like, son of a bitch, you guys are mean. I just got here. Like,
Yeah.
But
Give me your loot.
yeah, I'm not like that asshole. I probably shouldn't say this, then people know to target me. But like, I'm not immediately an asshole. It depends.
I'm not either. I kind of feel things out a little bit before I gun people down. I'm like, are you cool? Are you cool? Are you cool? We cool? No, you're not cool. You're not cool.
If it's like
I'm
other
good.
people, like PvP, I'm a little nicer. But if it's an NPC, it's like you're not real. You have no feelings, unless it's Judy Alvarez. It's fair game. It's just, but
Yeah, we
Gurney
know you're a
knows.
demon.
I can't hurt Judy Alvarez. I'm sorry.
Crystal, you can choose your name in these games, and the coolest thing is when an invader invades your world, their name is like broadcasted.
Oh,
So you can have like Judy has invaded your world.
I have a couple names to choose from. I do have a stripper name. It's Frida Lay. That could be one. And I have two drag names. They both have a literature reference. Jane Ostentatious and
That's
Georgia
the best.
O'Keefe. So we could effectively
Just imagine that, Crystal.
Yeah,
You invade someone's world and they don't like see it on the screen. Jane Ostentatious has invaded your world.
I'm not that cultured. I'll just be like, these nuts have invaded your world.
That's the best part. I always screenshot that shit.
I see a lot of multiplayer with you guys in my future. That's all I know. So why don't we, what do you guys want to talk about? Why don't you guys just take some time to talk whatever the hell you decide you want to talk about Elden Ring or FromSoft or whatever floats your boat.
Oh man, you should keep asking questions. I think you're.
Geez, it's hard. It's hard to ask intelligent questions. A, because I'm not that intelligent, but B,
You don't
I
have to be
played
intelligent questions.
You're the best. You are literally the
Yeah.
best podcast
You're the
host.
best host.
This is great so far.
So
No lie.
let's talk about the multiplayer environment then, because it's inevitable somebody's listening and watching that might still be on the fence. Maybe they're terrified of Boki, as they should be. What is, like, does the multiplayer offer a lot of, is it as rewarding? Like, what is the experience like? Does it help you get through the game? So why don't you guys take a little bit of time to talk about maybe that experience a little bit, or comparing that to single player?
I'll go first because mine's probably the shortest. The only time I engage with the multiplayer in those games is to get a trophy.
Same.
I don't have the balls that Boki has. Boki has some big old balls.
But do you have to, if you play multiplayer, does that mean you have to go and destroy someone's life and tear apart the fabric of the world that they've built?
Oh, you can help people. Something I really like doing in Bloodborne is kind of hovering around the boss doors and seeing if anyone summons for help, and I'll oftentimes go in and fight a boss with somebody just to help them out. I don't gain much from it. It could be a boss I beat, hours and hours and hours ago. It's really rewarding to go in and help someone else beat that boss. A lot of they'll emote to you or something like that, like they'll thank you or they'll bow to you or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm trying to piece together what it's like. So, like in Breakpoint, what a terrible game. But I bought the damn thing, so I had to beat it because I'm a glutton for punishment. So maybe FromSoft is perfect for me.
Maybe.
I would go out on my own because that's just kind of how I prefer to play. I don't know why I'm just used to single player environments. It's because I pause a lot. Like, hold on, guys, I have to do laundry. I have to flip the steaks. I have to take the puppy's piss, whatever. Is it kind of sort of like that where you can do things on your own and then say, hey, I need some help with this content? Because it's the environment that it sets?
Yeah, so in
multiplayer is completely optional. You go ahead.
Okay.
You go right ahead.
So in Bloodborne, you have to ring a bell. So if you want help, you have to ring a bell, and it will search for someone else for you. So you can avoid it completely. You can play the game offline 100%. So you avoid invasions, and you also don't get the tips and the help from other people. Or you can connect online where people can leave notes. You can read their notes and grade those notes as well. You can leave your own, and then you can summon help or go into other people's worlds to help them.
So it's completely random, but I did read that where it had up to 4 players co-op. So you could choose to go into it with 3 other people that you might like in the real world and play through that together, experiencing that growth together. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then Boki comes and fucks it all up.
So I'm curious to see how it's going to work in Elden Ring with the world being bigger, how multiplayer is going to work. Because it's not going to be these tight corridors anymore. It's going to be a little more open space. So I'm really interested to see what they do with the multiplayer aspect.
So then there's 2 questions. Boki the Destroyer. So then there's 2 questions that I would love for each of you to answer. Gurney did it a little bit, but he can take more time on this if he wants. What do you really, really, really want to see from the game? And what kind of influence do you think Martin is going to have on the game?
Oh man, that's a good question right there. We haven't even talked about George R. R. Martin. Well, okay. What do I really want from the game? Well, I will say,
Boki
judging.
to not come kill you.
What's that?
For Boki to not come kill you.
That's right. Well, I'll just unplug my internet. But judging from the YouTube of the open world aspect of it, being able to approach bosses at your own, you can literally take any of these bosses when you want at any time. Apparently, so it does seem to shout out to Megamatt. It does seem to have a Breath of the Wild kind of inspiration to it, where you can kind of take the bosses, at your own leisure.
That's what I want.
Yeah. So honestly, it's hard to say what I want from the game because truly watching the trailer, I'm like, this is what I want. It literally, everything I'm hearing about the game is what I want. It seems to be taking the best of Sekiro, where you're going to have weapon arts, which are basically these different abilities that you can add to, the different weapons that you have. You're going to as it seems. So it's not going to be like Sekiro, where Sekiro was just kind of a one-path thing, and most of the customization came from these, the tools that you could socket into. This is, if you're not a FromSoft fan, this is probably over your head at this point. But I'm guessing if you're still listening to the podcast right now, you care about FromSoft. So I'm going to talk to you like you care about FromSoft. So Sekiro had more of a linear, not really a lot of customization, whereas this seems to be taking the best of the Dark Souls approach, which has tons of customization, and then it is taking the aspects that I loved about Sekiro. So the weapon arts, the skills, of course you got magic and all that stuff there. And what seems to be really cool is that it's very different. I mean, in a YouTube video, it looked like, he was just kind of exploring, and then you're just fighting these dudes in a field. And I mean, that's completely different than anything I think that I've seen in any FromSoft game. So I honestly, I can't even tell you what I want from the game, because it looks like it's offering everything I want, which is exploration, challenging combat, and though they said that it was easier, there's no way that game is that game. People said Sekiro was easier, and that game, in my opinion, Sekiro was the hardest one to learn, and no doubt has the hardest final boss, in my opinion.
It is the hardest one.
Oh my
Sekiro
God.
is the hardest one.
It took me 3 days to beat the final boss, man.
You know how many people told me to make that my first From Software game?
Never.
No.
Never.
So many people.
Please don't.
I mean, Sekiro truly, I do think, to the people who want that true, like, clout tweet, I beat Sekiro, the real ones understand what you mean there. But I think as far as George R.R. Martin, what he could offer, clearly writer of Game of Thrones, I just think he's going to be able to add a level of lore. But I mean, it's tough because Miyazaki alone, like, people hear the name George R.R. Martin, it's like, well, I honestly care more about Miyazaki's work if I'm being honest. Like, George R.R. Martin, it doesn't mean he's great. And I'm sure he'll add a grounded level. He'll probably give a lot more detail, whereas Miyazaki could say something very vague, and it's like literature where you literally could meditate on this one thing, and the meaning slowly unravels itself to you the more that you meditate on that one thing. Whereas, like, George R.R. Martin's probably going to have a lot more detail, and it could add a lot more lore in game to the worlds, where I do think that if you really want the true lore experience with, like, Bloodborne, you do kind of typically have to seek Reddit, unless you're Bulky, which is just a god at everything. I do think for us noobs, if we want the true lore experience, we have to go and read what Bulky says on Reddit, in my opinion. And I'm a noob, so I don't feel any shame. But yeah, Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Miyazaki. Miyazaki
Ring.
is the director. Miyazaki's not the writer of all the previous games, or is he also the writer and director?
Bulky, you probably have the most insight.
He's the writer?
Yeah, he writes, like, all the lore and all. Actually, he writes the item descriptions. A lot of his time goes to writing this, because the story is in the item descriptions, more or less. And he spends a lot of time at that. And honestly, he's very, like, humble, because he says, like, it's not, someone has to do it, basically. And he has been the one that has done that. But he's actually a great writer, and he is very good at creating a story through gameplay elements. And that's amazing to me, because most stories are told through, like, Hollywood style cinematics, while Dark Souls games stories are told more through the dialogue and item descriptions, and you solve the puzzle yourself, and that's also a game. So these games are gamey. They are very gamey. The cutscenes make no sense at all unless you dig in and read, like, what is this weapon? Why does it say something about, like, your hollow soul or whatever on this weapon? So that's his thing. But because Martin is writing a lot of this stuff, I think that it will change the game in a way, because he can focus on other stuff he loves, and he loves designing the worlds and the levels. He's amazing at that. So like a good Dark Souls game is Miyazaki, like he's integral to it. He's in it. He has designed the whole thing in a way.
So this game is going to be lit. From a writer's perspective, this game is going to be lit because you have the best of both worlds. Am I correct in assuming Miyazaki is a lot like Druckmann or Kojima, where they understand how to use the medium in storytelling?
Yes.
So you have that, right? And a guy who has a lot of experience in that television, Hollywood cinematic kind of writing. So if you combine that, that could be a really epic, very branching RPG in a sense of where you have a lot of arcs and a lot of outcome, like things we see from David Cage games, or like more kind of Fallout, Mass Effect kind of games, where so we could really be looking at something completely groundbreaking here if you look at what's been paired up.
Yeah, I think so. And because of the freedom, there's like more player agency in this game than ever before. And I think that even the agency stretches to the storytelling, because you're now this tarnished. Tarnished is not like a hollow. It's not like this depressing thing. You aren't crushed by the world. You have been exiled, and you are tarnished. You're not like you are. I don't know. You're kind of like your body and soul is tarnished, but you're also you're fighting for your right to honor, and you're taking something back. There's like more player agency in this game than it's a bit like Bloodborne. You're the hunter. Here you are going into this world and you're taking back what you're going to be, one of these legends, like the bosses. You are one of them. You're going to go in there and you're going to take what's yours. And that's so cool. That's
Hell
like,
yeah, it is. Hell yeah, Boki, you should do the marketing for this game, man.
Does that mean if I play Elden Ring and beat it on my own, I turn into Boki? Because that's kind of what I
do. That.
No, it takes a lot of years to become Boki.
Yeah. Mathodical, why don't you share your thoughts on what you want, and what do you think on Martin's influence and involvement?
Can I just take Gurniko's answer and like just put my face over,
you can.
over his face?
You do whatever you want, bro.
No, he really nailed it with what he said. So I agree with him on everything there. Something I want, and I think that we're going to get, is some really good environmental storytelling. Especially if you look at Bloodborne, there's the story. There really is no story. I mean, there is, but there isn't. It's not a story game. You're not going from point A to point B just to like a whodunit or what happened, right?
It's absorbed, man.
It's all absorbed, and it's almost all through, as Boki said, item descriptions, environments. So what you're seeing, what you're witnessing, it's very little spoken story, and I think we're going to see a lot of that in this game. Something Skyrim used to really be known for, and still is. Like, you could go somewhere in Skyrim, and you gotta tell what happened there by the environment, right? So I think we're gonna see that, but on a really interesting scale, because as you pointed out, Crystal, you've got this amazing game writer with this amazing author working together and collaborating. So I'm really excited to see these environments, because we've seen these amazing environments on a smaller scale. What are they going to do with an open world and with several different hubs? How are these, environments going to tell the story? That's really what I'm looking forward to.
Megamatt, what about you?
I'm going to be completely honest. The George R.R. Martin influence on it has nothing to do with why I want to play this game. It's basically, it's cool that he's involved, and I think it adds a layer of coolness to the whole anticipation of what we're going to get. But for me, I'm just looking forward to a new FromSoft game, but I'm looking forward to the openness of it. I'm looking forward to something happening to me, or me getting to a certain part and being like, hey, did you get here yet? And someone else is having a completely different like start to their journey, or a completely different story to like how they approach this or how they approach that. Like, everybody knows the FromSoft level design is top tier. Like, so thinking about that on like a grand scale is pretty cool, right? Where you get your little hub, and then it's branching out in all these different ways, and you're going to be like circling around and coming back to the hub and going over here, going over here. Like, it's going to be insane to see what they do with an open map like that. I think basically I'm just mostly excited for the journey. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, man. I will say one thing that I did forget, because I didn't give you an answer. I just kind of accept it. The Hunter's Dream soundtrack. When you go to the Hunter's Dream soundtrack, I can put that on and it just pierces my soul. So I hope to God that their hub world has just a memorable soundtrack that just pierces my soul. That's what I want.
Bloodborne has one of the most amazing soundtracks. It's insane.
Hunter's Dream.
Yeah.
Oh,
I used to go to the Hunter's Dream and just put the controller down and just
like the sound design in Bloodborne is even just insane. Like the little sounds, like the little messenger guys in the lamp, or like just it's amazing.
I think it's safe to say we're probably going to get all that because we've had it before. Yeah. I actually am not. I don't give a shit about Martin. I actually am probably one of 5 people on the planet who didn't like Game of Thrones. I
didn't even watch Game of Thrones.
It was creepy, rapey. Like, it was just not my cup of tea. I just, maybe it was the way they adapted it for TV. It was. I honestly only caught glimpses of the really hot dragon mama chick, because it showed her boobies and I like boobies. So I wanted to, it did have a lot of, so I did like tell my wife, you watch it. And then when I heard sounds of fornication, I paid attention, and I'm just going to be completely honest that is like, that's really all I paid. The rest was just, I don't know. I had so many questions about how the little girl killed the blue thing. And why and then you were related. Like, no, it's not my cup of tea.
It's strange, and it's
people love Martin, so I'm happy that he has an involvement and hope that it adds.
I think he's writing the like basic lore for how the bosses became what they are and how you became what you are. I think that's he came up with the Tarnished storyline, is what I read.
Well, that sounds good, because he did create a cool world. He created cool characters. I mean, totally, he created some awesome things. Mm-hmm. So that sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, I respect what he's done. He's just not in my wheelhouse. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones or.
He's modern. He's like a modern, grounded Tolkien.
Yeah, well, you heard it. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. He has the Megamatt seal of approval. So as we wrap up, are there any final statements you guys want to make?
Play Bloodborne.
Can we address this absolutely fantastic logo that we have behind Crystal here?
You used the one I made. That's crazy. You didn't use the official one.
One of my favorite things that has ever resulted from being on Twitter is this Metal Gear Solid Jim Ryan crossover.
Jim Ryan is
because Jim Ryan has the charisma of a doorknob, and we've elevated him to
that's why it's so funny.
Big boss status. And it's just fantastic.
We're in the PS5.
He probably hasn't played the Metal Gear Solid.
No, he's never beaten a video game.
I will find a way to use the other means in the marketing material for this video. One of them you've already seen in the introduction, possibly 2. Haven't edited the intro yet, but it will be done soon, and the rest will be involved in the graphics for releasing this in some way. I promise you. This is yes.
I'm happy.
I love it.
I would say, for me personally, like my closing thoughts would be, the reason I'm so excited about Elden Ring is because I believe this community of like that we've brought together on Twitter It's the first time I think all of us playing it will be able to actually experience a FromSoft game together at
For the
launch.
first time.
Like it's just been we've seen all these people playing Bloodborne in fragments, and we're all like cheering them on and like rooting for them, and to play Elden Ring alongside of like everybody on Twitter, me is really what I'm looking forward to. I mean, it's going to be more than just the game for me. It's just an experience.
The games are a big social experience, really.
Truly.
You guys, all four of you, technically, since this is probably already an R-rated video anyway, technically it's kind of like a gangbang. You guys are going to help me take my FromSoft virginity. So it's really a little bit of like a very...
You gotta play Bloodborne.
You do.
You really have
to play Bloodborne.
Look, you guys already talked me into Death Stranding one thing at a time, okay?
Bloodborne first.
I can accept that.
One thing at a time. One thing at a time. One thing at a time.
Okay.
One thing at a time. Anybody else have any closing statements?
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring?
Yeah, Elden Ring, but I have one more.
Go, Boki.
I think if you want to like go all in on Elden Ring and you're new to Dark Souls or even like dabbled in it, I think my background here is from Berserk. Read Berserk or watch the anime. Check that out because that's the most important influence on Miyazaki and many like great creators. Like this is the shit, and Elden Ring will have so much influence. When I watch the trailers, I'm like, wow, this is Berserk the game. That's what I'm looking forward to because it's so strange because he's working with Martin and he has written this lore and stuff, but Miyazaki is like, fuck it, I'm going to do like Berserk the game. Finally, I'm going to do my magnum opus and I'm going to do Berserk the game. And Martin, Martin can have what he wants. He can be in the credits and whatever.
It's just his name on the game.
It's there. It's good for marketing, but it's Berserk the game. So please, if you can, there's a deluxe edition now. That's amazing. It's the best translation so far. Buy like the first edition and start reading that because you will be amazed. It's like an amazing piece of literature. It's better than all of American comics. I'm sorry, but it's true. And it's like a journey. It's dark as fuck, and it's like it's traumatizing, but it's so fucking good, and you grow as you read it. So please read that as like if you want to get into Elden Ring. That would be like the biggest thing you can do.
What's the easiest way to access Berserk, Boki?
I think there's two ways. One of the ways is actually like getting the anime from 1997. It's the first anime made on Berserk. It's like the first arc from Berserk. It's really good. There's amazing music in it. The music was revolutionary. It's very atmospheric. It's pretty close to the manga. That's one way. The other way, I think, is just go out and buy the deluxe edition of Berserk because it's out now. It's on Dark Horse. It's amazing. The panels are big and you get to experience all this art. And when you read it, if you like Dark Souls, you will be like, wow, shit, this Miyazaki stole this shit. Wow, shit, he stole this shit. Like he did with Castlevania. He just steals a lot of stuff. And he
does it better.
Yeah, it's like you will understand why he loves that manga, and I think it will actually make your experience of Elden Ring better as well because there's a lot of references, more than ever before.
Good advice. Thank God you can't see the plethora of dog and cat hair just fucking floating in my face, agitating my allergies. Okay. Yeah, any other closing thoughts, guys? We good to go? We're wrapping up?
Math?
You guys have done a fantastic job of saying what I would want to say, but in a way that I probably couldn't yet. So,
Oh,
Well-
dude, you are actually really great at articulation, man.
thank you.
I'm like loving listening to all you guys, man.
Well,
It's
is
such a
it
pleasure.
safe to say, fellas, we'll be back?
Oh yeah,
We have episodes. We have episodes in the works. I'm not going to spoil anything, but we will be back.
We'll be
The only
back.
thing I will promise you for sure is that we will be back for a follow-up episode much later down the road when all of us have had the chance to play Elden Ring for a bit of time. We're not sure yet, but before then, you will see us. But we can't spoil what wonderful delights we're going to deliver to you.
Absolutely. We will see Hassan as well.
Well,
before that.
hey. Probably, maybe. No
Starts
guarantee.
with an S and ends with an L.
Okay, well, hey, maybe, probably, maybe.
We don't know.
We don't know. But thanks everybody for watching episode 10. This has been absolutely fantastic. My boys and I are going to hang out for a bit, and we will see you guys next week. As always, thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks. Thank you.